I'm going to say a couple words while you're engaging in your salad. Please feel free, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the things that the Interfaith Center of New York does. As you know, for 20 years, we've been around seeking to overcome prejudice and violence by activating New York's grassroots religious and civic leaders. The organization was founded. You can eat your salads, but if you could just also listen to me, that would be wonderful. So the Interfaith Center was founded by the Reverend James Parks Morton, former Dean of the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. And in some ways, the Interfaith Center has engaged for the last 2 decades in a gradual exercise of downward mobility. Now, what I mean by that is that we started in some ways on the sort of metaphorical, the ethereal heights, the tops, the soaring spires of the cathedral, and we're now down at street level. What do I mean by that? But my colleague, Director of Programs, Henry Goldschmidt, has a very good way of explaining this. He generally opens his seminars about the lived religious diversity of New York by handing out the list of alternate side parking exemptions by religious holiday. Just so you know, it's not just Christmas and high holy days anymore. We can now thank the Hindus on Diwali, the Muslims for both Eids, for the fact that we don't have to sit in our car for 2 hours and wait for the street sweeper to go by. Alternate side parking exemptions are one way we figured out to measure if your religious community has really arrived in New York City. Indeed, as we enter our 20th year, we've been doing a lot to help New Yorkers bridge religious divides and enrich our American civic life. We advocate and weigh in on legal settlements, for example, to limit suspicionless spying on minority religious traditions by law enforcement. We work with our partners. New York Interfaith Disaster Services is here right now on pop-up iftars, as we did this past weekend when the Islamophobic group ACT came to town. And then when the horrific shooting at the Pulse nightclub happened exactly 1 year ago tonight, we were there hosting and co-hosting interfaith vigils around the city, being inclusive of voices in the gay Muslim community along with others, those who have for so long been the victims of a double discrimination. Well, in addition to this sort of rapid response, we have our bread and butter programs, which many of you know, the Rabbi Marshall Meyer Retreats for Social Justice, the Religious Diversity Training for Teachers and Social Workers, and now, as you'll see in a moment, police department recruits, officers in the NYPD. This work, however, takes support. Someone asked me earlier in the week if it would be okay to make a contribution above what he had already given to be here this evening. Well, as I said to him after some thought, I can't think of any single religious tradition anywhere that would have any prohibitions against you donating over and above any of the cost of or the donations that you've already made this evening. So you can all rest easy. There are, by the way, or there should be pencils and little envelopes in the center of your table, just FYI. Well, we have a very exciting evening ahead of us. We have films about our founder and awardees for our awards for our honorees, music and performances. Now, because we are in the middle of Ramadan, there may be people at your table who have been fasting since about 3:30 in the morning. Thus, we have what's called a hard stop, and that is at sundown, which will be 8:28 this evening. We will stop at that time and invite Imam Samer. Imam Samer, are you here? Good. Great, just checking. Imam Samer will come forward and offer the call to prayer, which will be the indication that the break fast will happen. And at that time, there should be dates in the middle of your table, which for those who are fasting, they will break the fast with the dates, as that is the traditional way of doing it. Imam Samer will then go up, you'll just then follow him either upstairs or around the corner, should you wish to do additional prayers, and the rest of us will enjoy the main course. Now that we're done with the logistics, it is my great honor to introduce the legendary high wire artist and performer, Philippe Petit, who will be guiding us through the rest of the evening. And for those of you who don't know, Philippe Petit surprised the world, as you can see up here, by doing 8 crossings on a 3/4-inch steel cable rigged between the 2 towers of the World Trade Center in 1974. He described this act as an artistic crime of the century. It shocked the world at the time and continues to speak powerfully and directly to our present moment. Philippe's artistic feat of daring has overshadowed the tallest buildings, bridges, and religious buildings of our time, showing in some way, as his art suggests, that it is in our vulnerability rather than in our edifices of steel and concrete that we truly find our humanity. And I want to close by saying that certainly without vulnerability, there can be no trust. And for the work of this organization and many others, peacemaking organizations like it, building trust is the currency, the lifeblood of what we do. So we are thankful for Philippe's inspiration, for his extraordinary displays of human possibility that run so counter to the prevailing winds. Where is Philippe Petit?